We are coming up on 2 decades since the 9/11 attacks, a day we'll never forget. And that's especially true for 2 Oregonians who were working in New York at the time. KGW's Pat Doris has our story.
20 years ago, I was right here in our spare bedroom getting ready for an early morning walk at about 5:45. And then I got a page from the assignment desk at the TV station saying there'd been a terror attack and that it was big. I turned on my TV and I couldn't believe what I saw. 2,900 miles away, just across the Hudson River from the World Trade Centers, Corvallis native Laura Styler woke up late at a friend's apartment. She lived a life of bright lights and glamour as a model, very much in demand around the world.
You have to be pretty good and well known to have enough designers who want to hire you for the shows in every city. So I did New York, London, Milan, Paris, and even Tokyo and even Sydney.
She was in New York for a major event called Fashion Week, and her alarm failed to go off.
What woke me up was the plane crashing into the North Tower. The sound, it woke me up, but it's a sound I'd never heard before. I was like, did a dumpster fall on concrete? Like, what was that?
Across the Hudson River, Beaverton native Jason Baston was already on the way to his advertising sales job at the Discovery Channel. He lived on the same side of the river as Laura was staying. He remembers 9/11 like it was yesterday.
The day started out, it was a beautiful day, a little warm, but very sunny.
The train dropped him off in the basement of the World Trade Towers. He had to go up to the main mall to catch another train to his office.
While I did that, that's when I first recognized a very large sound. Sounded like kind of broken glass, but a deep bass sort of sound. And, living in New York at this point, you hear things that, don't always make sense, but you kind of become a New Yorker and you get along with your business. And that's kind of what I did.
He heard a plane had hit the Trade Center, but assumed it was a small one and an accident. Back in Jersey City, model Laura Styler thought her fashion show was probably still on, but worried the city would lock down and that she'd be late.
I'm like putting my clothes on and I'm like jumping one-legged, into my jeans, and I've got a toothbrush in my mouth and I'm watching the news and I'm looking at my phone, and then all of a sudden the second plane hits live on TV. But because I was in Jersey City, the TV, because the radio tower was on top of that tower, the TV and my phone went off.
Jason Basden had left his office and hurried downtown to find his roommate working at Madison Square Garden so they could get out of there together. He could see smoke coming from the side of one of the buildings. These are pictures the roommate, Jeff Gamble, took at the time.
And as I'm still walking south, I'm trying to get down to 34th Street to get over to the Madison Square Garden. And I heard a very loud, basically only female voice, a cry, a collective cry of female voices. It's almost as if it was like all of the men's voices were drowned out by this female voice cry. And I looked downtown, and at this point, all I saw was a massive plume of smoke. And it literally looked like downtown Manhattan had just blown up. And so I saw the smoke, and at this point I started to run.
He discovered Jeff had already left. He raced to a train platform and got on board for the strange trip back across the river.
The train went really slow on the trip, but it didn't stop at any of the stations. And each platform had a number of people, and people were yelling at the train. I remember people trying to grab the train, trying to stop the train with their hands. And that was a bit frightening, because you wanted to, you naturally wanted to help them, because there was plenty of space on the train.
There was a woman crying with 2 children behind me. I remember she said that her husband was in the towers and she couldn't get a hold of him. I don't know what happened.
Back in Jersey City, Laura walked the short distance to the river's edge and watched in horror with many others as the buildings burned.
We were terrified that the building would fall. And I was on the phone with my mother, and I knew that there were news crews and firemen and police officers and people just standing at the base watching. And it was excruciatingly painful to not be able to warn them. Yeah. It's not something you forget. I mean, at that time, there were people hanging out of the buildings where the building smoke was. And we realized that they were jumping. And we were just sobbing, you know.
Jason eventually ended up standing about 500 yards away from Laura on the same riverfront. They've still never met, but both witnessed the awful events that were so hard to believe. In the aftermath, it made each reflect on their lives. The magazine covers and the glamour suddenly meant little to Laura.
It kind of like, what am I doing with my life? Is it meaningful? Does it have purpose? And at that time, no. I mean, fashion is very glamorous, but I'm not saving lives here.
She now lives in Austin, Texas, is an author, and practices energy medicine. Jason realized he wanted more as well.
On occasion, I'd come home for work, and I would think, like, what am I doing for society? And I was thinking, and this is no disrespect to anybody in sales. Everybody has to make a living, but I felt, both my parents were educators, and I felt, there was an opportunity.
He got into coaching and teaching and is now an athletic director in New Hampshire, where he feels he and his school are impacting the lives of thousands. Two of many changed forever by September 11th, 2001. Pat Doris, KGW News.